Okay, guys, we are live. Well, I just want to start out. First of all, it's 90 degrees here in Bakersfield today. Paul, what is it in Florida?
I think we had highs at like mid 70s.
How about you there, Jason? What are the
Oh,
temperatures in Omaha?
it's a beautiful 60. I love it.
Good.
Awesome.
60's not bad this time of year in the Midwest.
No,
People take it. All right, let's. We're here to talk Minnesota preview show, and so we got a lot of information that we can pass along. But I did want to read Jared's question here. It's kind of and it kind of piggybacks on something I was going to mention anyway. It said, "There's a few questions I forgot to ask after the Whiskey game. Is the QB position a big concern if Deacon Hill continues to throw the ball at 50% pass completion? Number one, he has yet to get to 50%. Should Labus take over?" Kirk already answered that. It ain't going to happen. They're basically saying that Labus is a turnover machine and that Deacon Hill is a clear number one. And he used the example of when everybody was screaming for Padilla last year over Petrus, and Petrus, when Petrus got pulled in the Ohio State game, and they brought in Padilla. First, out of his first three possessions, he turned the ball over. I believe one was a fumble and one was an interception. He said, "Now you guys know why we stuck with Petrus as our number one quarterback." He says, "Right now we have a clear number one, a clear number two, and a clear number three." And so, yeah, I don't think, based on everything I heard, and I'm sure Jason's heard similar things, that you haven't heard about him being a turnover machine.
I've heard the opposite. To me,
Okay.
that reiterates what was going on last year with Padilla. It's like they're just making crap up.
Oh, you think so?
I
Okay.
don't know, because they said the exact same thing about Padilla. That's like Groundhog Day. It's like they're just repeating nonsense to where the reason why they didn't give Padilla a shot is because he was a turnover machine. No, I heard Joey's just like he was last year, doing the same stuff he was doing before the bowl game.
Okay.
He looks better than Hill in practice.
Okay.
So I'm sticking with what I told you guys,
Mm-hmm.
that Kurt got challenged, and now he's just stubborn and like, watch, we're gonna win with Hill. We're not gonna throw the ball at all. Have you noticed that we just don't throw it now? I think they threw it 14 times last week. So
Yeah.
this week, though, I will tell you, I don't know when you want to get started on this, but expect the game plan, okay, to be similar to Michigan State. We are going to throw the ball this week. I'm told that the game, because Minnesota's pass defense is awful, like Michigan State's was. So expect a lot of wide open receivers. The next question is, can Hill tone it down a little bit and throw accurate passes? Because if you remember, he was pretty accurate against Michigan State. They just dropped everything, right?
Right.
But he's throwing 180 miles an hour. So he has to just put some touch on the ball and let the kids catch it, for starters. But yeah, the game plan this week. Oh, and you guys are going to be just the blocking schemes and everything, that's changed the gap power.
Mm-hmm.
We're also trap blocking, like with the tight ends and stuff. I mean, it's getting better and better. And this week they look great with that as well. They're to the point where they're not afraid of them having 8-9 guys into the box, because now they know how to block it with their power. Whereas with that zone blocking, they need to be athletic, right? You have to get to a spot, and Iowa's offensive line isn't athletic enough to do the zone blocking.
Right.
Why they switched to this gap, which Paul and I would talk about last year. That's what Utah does, right? We talked about on this podcast a year ago that we were hoping that they should do some gap blocking like what Utah does, and we're seeing it. And they use their tight ends, the trap block, to pull, the lead block. I guess it's just looking great.
Yeah. So PJ Fleck said basically when they put 8 or 9 guys, Iowa's more successful in their run game when the teams have put 8 or 9 guys in the box. So does that mean that PJ Fleck probably will not make that mistake and put 8, 9 guys in the the box.
I don't think he has a choice. But what he's talking about is like against Purdue, there was 9 guys in the box,
Right.
Corner blitz,
Mhm.
and KJ House the 67-yarder, right?
Right.
So that's what he's talking about. Is Iowa, when you put that many guys in the box, LaShawn Williams, that touchdown took forever. We know he's not a sprinter, right?
Right.
A couple times this year. But if you guys remember on that one, the reason why he was able to explode and go the distance because they had everybody up, right? When you don't have a safety or anybody back, it makes it a lot easier to outrun everybody if they're chasing you, right?
Mhm.
Nobody's got angles on you. They had one guy who was close, but he couldn't quite get there before the end zone.
Right.
So
And I think that's what PJ Fleck was saying, that if you put that many guys up and they get through that hole, it's so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I thought he was very complimentary toward Iowa. Some of the things that were encouraging to me when I looked at the stats is we actually have scored more points than Minnesota has this year. We got 146 points. They've got 130. And we've actually scored more points in the Big Ten, 61 versus 57. However, I'm sorry. No, I got that backwards. Yeah, no. They have given up 160 points total. We've only given up 104. And Paul, what were those numbers that you said defensively wise that the two teams were giving up that you came up with earlier?
Oh, it was like 21 points per game Minnesota's defense gives up, and Iowa's is around 11.
Okay, yeah.
Minnesota has given up 30 points a game the last 3 games.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Their defense can't stop the pass at all. And, I mean, Minnesota's offense, though, is scoring more than Iowa.
I'm just going by the stats that are current as of this week.
They're one less game. Minnesota's coming off a bye week.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. They have we have 7. They have 6. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, they average, I think, 22 points a game. So it's not like it's much different. I was just saying that they're coming off a bye week.
Yeah, and we're averaging 21 something, I believe.
Yeah, like 20.8 something.
Yeah, 20.8. Yeah. Okay. All right. So other things that kind of stood out a little bit. Sack wise, we're both, they've got 11 sacks. We've got 10 sacks. We each have 8 interceptions. They've recovered 2 fumbles this year. We've recovered 3. About the only thing that, as usual, that's probably a little bit of a, what I want to say. Actually, when you combine McNamara and Hill's passing, we have more yardage than their quarterback does, passing wise. So passing, they're not doing any better than we are doing.
No, their quarterback is terrible. He's struggling. I think they're going to start using his feet because he's fairly athletic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he can't throw to save his life.
Yeah.
And Aquan Bell has been hurt, right? You guys remember him?
Yep.
I do not, actually.
Is it Otto Bell, maybe?
Aquan Bell?
Yeah, something like that. He's been there for like 5 years, but he was a stud before he got hurt a year ago. He was supposed to be their leading receiver this year, and he hasn't even been on the field yet.
Okay, yeah. So total yards, we have 1,732 offensive, and they have 1,880. So, man, guys, this is like after I looked at the Wisconsin stats last week, and I started feeling better about that game. Even though I still picked against them.
Yeah, I was going to say, Paul and I felt better. You didn't.
I felt better, but I don't know why I still picked against them. I was just, I'm like everybody else. Once we started losing everybody, it's like, but yeah, I'm really feeling good. It's like I told Terry, I'm pretty about 90% sure that Iowa will win this game. You got to leave that 10% open because something could go goofy.
That's right.
Against the Goofies.
Especially when you play the game the way Iowa does, right? So close to the best. So everything
Mm-hmm.
That's why Iowa can handle all these injuries on offense. If the injury bug would, I don't even want to say it, but if an injury bug would go the opposite direction, it would be really bad.
Well, the Iowa D line is pretty beat up right now.
Yeah, well, because Shannon's not there, right? Black
Right.
is still that Black will probably play if Shannon doesn't get reinstated. But you're right;
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
really need Shannon for depth.
Let's hope the NCAA does the right thing in the next couple of days and calls out Kirk and say, "Put your boy in the game; he can play."
Right, and that would help out with Black being, just
Yeah.
kind of. He might be able to still play, but he's not 100% and probably shouldn't play.
So, yeah. So, talk a little bit about the defense, the way Jason that they play that might give Iowa a little bit of trouble, or maybe make it easier for Iowa.
I think, what they're going to do, they're going to do something different against Iowa than what they've been doing all year.
Mm-hmm.
But they like to bring people. They've actually adjusted. This is going to be kind of interesting, but they've kind of adjusted their defense to what Iowa does. Like they're trying to copy what Iowa does defensively, as far as they don't run near as much man defense, right? They're running a lot of zone defense. And that may be part of the reason why they really can't cover the pass. They're not used to running all this zone. They used to run just cover 4 base, right? Which in cover 4, you're essentially in man coverage, right? If somebody comes into your zone, you gotta. That's why it's easier. It was so easy to exploit the cover 4 before with Minnesota. I don't know if you remember Charlie Jones' 70-yard touchdown against them. He split the safety in the corner in their cover 4. But it's so easier. It's so much easier to exploit the deep pass when they're in cover 4. I know that sounds weird, but if you flood, the 2 guys on that one side can't, cover everybody. But so they are playing a lot more zone, but they get out of their zones. But this week I anticipate him, bringing more people. Not anything like what Western Michigan did, where Iowa struggled with Western Michigan in the beginning, remember? Because they were sending the house every time. So, and Purdue, same with Purdue. They were sending people all the time. It's not going to be like that. I don't think we're going to see what Minnesota's been doing all year against Iowa. I think what we're going to see is them challenge the offense. I really do. I think they're going to have people up in the box. I think he was kind of talking, out of the side of his mouth when he was talking about you can't put that many people up there and to stop the run, because if he doesn't, Iowa can just 3 yards in a cloud of dust them.
Mm-hmm.
And more than that, because really they're not that good of a defense. Like I can't think of what their ranking is, but their pass defense isn't very good. I know that for a fact. So, and I don't think their defense period is very good. So I don't, I don't want to cherry pick certain games, but when they play teams that can throw the football, they did well against Nebraska when they used what's his name as their quarterback, right? They went up against the guy who turned the ball over 4 or 5 times. They've had situations that's helped their defense, stay up there a little bit. But I believe they're actually giving up 28 points a game. Or is that in conference? They're giving up 28 points.
I don't know. I have to ask Paul on that one.
I don't know that my stats are accurate at all. So
okay, I forgot to look for it, and Paul mentioned it earlier, so I thought maybe he knew.
I don't know how to work this iPad. I'm watching the game, but it's I wish I did, but does anybody have the ESPN app where you can just go look at their stats? Because how if you go on the ESPN app, you can click the Iowa Minnesota game, and it will tell you their stats, I believe. But I don't know how to get out of this. It's on the game, but I don't know how to get to
Minnesota team stats.
Oh wait.
So I should have said University of Minnesota football.
What'd you do? Did you get a porn channel?
No, I got Minnesota Timberwolves all up and down the line.
Dean got porn.
I'll be honest with you guys, that porn will never show up on my computer.
Yeah,
All right, I'm looking at it right now.
I'm slowly figuring this stuff out.
Huh. All the team stats, and they don't give anything on the defensive end of it.
Because nobody cares about defense. Heck, Iowa fans don't. We know that. Okay, Minnesota. It's on NBC, everybody.
What is?
The Iowa-Minnesota game. It's on NBC.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I love their broadcasts.
Better than Fox.
Yes,
180 hours of commercials for a 3-hour game.
right. Their pregame is way better too.
Yeah.
Set up inside of Kinnick, and it's very like game specific. The pregame show.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Minnesota has given up 373 yards a game, 235 yards allowed it on the pass, 37 against the rush. So basically, Iowa's got them beat all the way around on defense, and their offense is 180 yards rushing to ours 130, but the rushing has been going up every week for Iowa because they're starting to slowly figure it out. And then Iowa's passing to 116 yards a game, and that's just going to keep it down.
Yeah.
So, but for whatever reason,
What time is the game Saturday?
2:30.
12:30 my time.
So 3:30 mine. Got it.
I should, yeah.
Excellent.
3:30.
You guys got to wait a little longer. I got a busy morning ahead of me. I got a thing at church. I got to go to a soccer game and probably miss part of the first quarter by the time I get home.
But did you guys see that L4 is now the starting running back? RB1.
Yes.
And ever since the day Dean called him out, you pissed him off because he's been running bad man.
Well, that's good. Then I'm glad it worked.
Right.
No, I noticed that when they were starting him, and I said I'm not a fan of his. That's all I really said.
You just keep asking why Caleb's not playing. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I kind of understand all that now, but at the time I didn't. During the game, you really don't understand some of those things. You know.
Like I was trying to tell you on the podcast. Remember the week prior, Caleb, he's kind of being a little prima donna because he doesn't like his role. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like when you sent that, I was trying to tell you that he's doing his role. Mm-hmm. His role is not going to have him on the field a whole lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he dances. Where Iowa's starting with their power, they open up the hole right away.
Right.
Caleb's good at the counter action where you got to wait for the tight ends, the pole to come around, or the guard, whatever they use. Where that's where Caleb is best. But if they're going straight ahead, that's where Jazz Patterson, when he was healthy, and he's back this week.
Yeah, he's back this week.
That's when Caleb started to, fall off even more because Patterson is a straight ahead. Once he gets the ball, it's like full speed. So if there's a hole there, he's going to hit it. And he runs hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and with this new power scheme, the running back has to just go. Like Caleb is a instinctive, patient runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's not a guy who gets the ball and just excels. Like he sees it and he kind of goes. And if you notice, there were 2 runs last week where he could have housed it, but he was tripped up like just that much because he didn't go like legit. Like they just got him by that much, just a shoestring tackle, or he was gone. So there was 2 of those plays, and I had somebody who was at the game said, LaShawn he had another one too. I don't remember that one, but he had one where he could have been gone too, but they just barely got him. And he
I remember that. Is it because they're running with their head down more, the helmet down more, that maybe they're a little lower to the ground, so when they do get tripped up a little bit, they fall easier? Is that?
I mean, I don't know if they're running. I mean, Patterson and Williams, they do run low, right?
Mhm.
Where Caleb, K2 runs like Eric Dickerson, if you remember how he ran. He legit runs like Eric Dickerson. He's straight up,
Mhm.
right? So it's like easier to grab onto him too, even when he's excelling. When he's in the open field, we don't know how fast he is. He's never been caught, right?
Mhm.
Never.
Right.
So because once he gets the open field, he's gone. But the way he runs, like straight up, they can get a hold of him, before he's gone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just explode. Like he doesn't get the top gear until he's out in the open. And then you just can't catch him. Like I don't have no clue what his 40 is. I'm guessing it's faster when someone's chasing him. So I don't.
We're all faster when somebody's chasing us. We always find another gear that we didn't know we had.
That's probably true.
It's a gear that we probably always have. We just didn't know it was there because we were too lazy most of the time.
I mean, this game, I can see Iowa just dominate from the very beginning of this game, just especially if they do it in the first quarter and kind of put that into Minnesota's head because of how bad Minnesota's just been playing lately, coming off a bye. So if Iowa doesn't start fast, and there's times where the offense does start fast, right? Even against Penn State, the offense started fast. It was a stupid fumble, right? If they can start fast, let's say just get 10 points in the first quarter, it's 10-0. That could just slowly destroy Minnesota, period. Just their mindset, everything, because they haven't been feeling good as of late.
So Jared wants to know if there's any Minnesota players we need to keep our eye on. I believe they've got an All-American DB or linebacker that we should be concerned with.
Not that we could be concerned with. He hasn't played yet this year either, but he might play this week.
Oh, might be time. Okay.
True freshman running back. They have a true freshman running back that hasn't played the last 3 weeks. He's
hurt?
3 games. I think they've played 6. So he's in his 3 games played, he has over 500 yards rushing. He averages.
Oh, okay. Is that his name? Taylor?
Yes. He averages 6.1 yards per carry, but he's been hurt. But he might come back this week. So, yes, those are 2 guys that if they come back, now granted, it just depends on how healthy they are, right? If they may just let him play and see what happens, but I don't know if you'd want to do that against Iowa. Like if Taylor, their running back's not healthy, I mean, he takes a hit. He takes a hit from Castro. It might be over.
Yeah. Well, they got their leading tackler is a guy by the name of Nowitzki. Nowitzki. Does that sound familiar?
Well, that could be, but he's not the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's got 42 tackles compared to Higgins' 87 tackles. That leads Iowa. So,
but
they got a guy named Nubbin. Is that the guy we're talking about? Maybe he's got 3 interceptions.
No.
Okay.
The guy that is their star, who's an All-American, is a linebacker. He hasn't played yet this year.
Okay.
And they're saying he might come back. It's a long name, I think.
Okay.
And they're saying that he might come back.
Okay. So they might get their running back and their linebacker back this week, right?
Right.
That could help improve their team a little bit.
Yeah, Chris Autumn Bell's another one. He's the star. He's a senior, but he hasn't played yet.
Okay.
Let me get the dude's name. Lindenberg. Cody Lindenberg is the guy's name. that hasn't played, but he's their All-American linebacker that's
Okay.
supposed to play this week.
Okay. Well, darn. I hate for him to choose this week to come back because.
Yes, they were waiting through the bye week, not chance it until after the bye week, giving as much time as possible.
Yeah.
To rest, and then, choose.
I think Iowa needs to find a way to make sure that they win this game because they badly need the bye week to get some offensive linemen and defensive linemen healed up. And hopefully get our backup cornerbacks healed up because God forbid if either one of our starting cornerbacks go down because we're going to have to go to third stringers.
Fifth stringers.
What's that?
Fifth.
Third
and fourth are done.
Are they?
It's Deshaun Lee. That's what you were. Deshaun Lee and TJ Hall are both out.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. Aren't they? They're the backups, cornerbacks.
Yeah, they're out.
I know they're out. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying the next ones behind them would be number 3s, right?
Well, not
3.
Technically, it'd be number 5.
Okay, all right.
That's what Paul and I were talking about. Like, they're not really the third. We're going to be all the way down to the 5th cornerback. That's what Paul and I were talking about.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
6th.
Okay.
And I believe one of them's a walk-on, that white boy.
Yeah, I heard.
Hines.
Yeah, Hines. Yeah, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 are out. So if anything happens to our starters, whoo. Oh, under. Until I see it, Ari, I'm picking under. Now, he may have the opportunity to pass for more, but are they going to execute it? Is it going to look like Michigan State where he's throwing 180 and the receivers are going to go like this and no one's going to catch a ball? I mean,
All right, here's a good question for us. What will Deacon Hill need to do to secure the win? The passing yards, the pass completions, third down conversions?
honest answer, 0 turnovers. That's all I care about. 0 turnovers, and Iowa wins this game because they're going to run I bet they run the ball for over 200 yards again. Now, granted, if Minnesota is able to bring 9 guys in the box and stop the run, then they're going to have to complete passes, right? And like I said, they're going to come out in 5 wide, or I want them to play action pass. I don't want them to come out in 5 wide every time, but because I want to see some play action passes when you run the ball as much as, think about this, that first play of the second half. Do you guys remember that when they just chucked it up deep and then they end up punting, right? Because second and 10 and they weren't able to get the first down. The very first play of the second half, after Iowa dominated the first half running the football, they came out in 5 wide and just chucked it, right? Just chucked it down the vines and just kind of hoped something stuck. Yeah. No play action. They didn't do anything like what everybody in the freaking stadium knows. Iowa's going to run the ball, right? Unless you're in 5 wide. So if they would have just done a play action pass on the opening play instead of just a straight drop back, holy cow, Minnesota would have been like, whoa, that would have been so much better of a play call.
Sometimes you got to question Brian's play calling, why he calls what he does at the time. And sometimes he's accused of not doing what works continually, like running how successful we were running the ball last week. And then maybe going away from it a little bit, sometimes, and trying to do the passes. Example, Northwestern 2 years ago when we threw the ball 55 times, up 17-0.
That was 3 years ago in 2020. But he was doing that to show off for the fans. But he doesn't do that very often. Or Kirk shut it down. Kirk let him go free that one game. And that was their last loss with the lead, right? Kirk shut it down.
3-possession lead. Iowa doesn't lose 3-possession leads.
Yeah. No, I know, Ari, about the third down conversion rate, but that's still, they'll be fine. I mean, that's been up to this point, but they're getting better and better every week. Yeah. And as long as Hill doesn't turn the ball over, don't expect much out of Hill until he shows it. He's going to have a lot of opportunities this week. We'll see. However, I don't think Minnesota could stop Iowa from running the ball.
Says here, when will Kirk use the QB sneak when it's short yardage? He probably won't. He's going to depend on his field goal kicker or his punter on that situation. The only time he would do it is if it's late in the fourth quarter and we need a touchdown to win. Then you're going to see it. That's my opinion, because Kirk is way too conservative, and for some reason he doesn't trust everybody on his own team.
I just remember him loving the quarterback sneak. That was Spencer Petras' best play.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I thought it was Nate Stanley's too.
I think Nate Stanley averaged 5 yards a carry on that thing.
Yeah, remember the USC game? Like five times in a row or something.
I don't know why they won't. I mean, I don't know. That would be hell if it's freaking 3rd and 2. You could quarterback sneak it for a first with that big SOB.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. The fact that we haven't seen it yet is just flat out weird.
Yeah, well, everybody thinks because of his size it should be automatic. I mean, he should be able to lean forward.
Yeah,
and get it.
I mean, he could. We see it throughout Iowa's history, and we've seen it throughout the country now. Mm-hmm. There's just something weird that I think is just pettiness that's coming out of Kirk with Hill. He loves to play games with his quarterbacks, with the media. He loves to try to prove everybody wrong. So and like I said, I know what he has said. Like, he got mad because the media asked him a question. And this goes all the way back to 2003, I think. I told you guys, where the reason Iowa takes the ball is because he was questioned about it. Why do you take the football? Why wouldn't you do, what everybody else does and, start on defense and take the ball the second half? Ever since he was questioned about it, what have they done? They take the ball when they win the toss.
Mm-hmm. And the only time they start on defense is if the other team wins the toss and they want to start on offense.
Right. So I've learned so much pettiness this year from Kirk that I used to defend him, because I always thought when you have as good as defense as Iowa has, why wouldn't you start the second half with your defense, right? Kick off and you have them start at their own 25 or whatever.
I think there was a game a few years ago against Illinois where we kicked off both halves.
Yeah, it's because we can choose to do that, right? If we have, if we defer, so more teams could actually kick off again if they were deferred, right? If they deferred, they don't have to automatically.
If you defer it in the first half, the other team gets to choose. Mm-hmm. So if they choose the ball, which is what happens when you defer it, they took the ball because you get the second half choice,
right?
So if they take the ball, you get second half choice, and then you can choose to kick or receive.
Right.
And you're right, Paul. I completely forgot about that. Where he kicked off. Kirk, at his old age, never mind. It ain't his old age. He's just always been stubborn. Right?
Hey, he's only about a half a year older than I am, so.
Because this goes all the way back to 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, he was a pretty young guy then.
And when the media questioned him, like they did with Hill, he turned into a petty little asshole. So, and that's what he's doing now with Hill. And I
think he is being very petty. We
all see it. You're completing 37% of now. He's not a finished product. He could come out and complete 65% if he gets touch on the ball, right? We don't know because he's still doing his first few games.
Right.
I would not be surprised if he does come out and he gets a 60% completion percentage, because the receivers should be wide open tomorrow.
Yeah. So he mentioned to the media yesterday that the passing game is coming around. They're starting to click a little bit. So let's hope that that's more than just practice. Let's hope that it translates to a game, because I think practice is because there's no pressure on you in practice. The team is, they're not going to tackle you and chase after you. They're just going to come up and touch you or something. So you don't really have that pressure. And in a game, of course, you're fighting for your life. You're fighting for a real win. So, I don't know. It is what it is. I want to read some of these things. Our defense leads the nation in defensive plays played. I figured we were up there, but I really didn't know that was actually true.
I mean, after the Penn State game, that kind of
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter when you do 97 plays in one game.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What was this one? Oh, 26% is unacceptable. He's referring to our third down rate, which I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's still. I mean, it's going to get better and better now. Like I said, the offensive line is figuring it out, and apparently they're getting really good this week. Rusty Feth has solidified his left guard position. They're loving that he's finally getting, like, the offensive line is who they envision now as the 5 starters. They're still gonna, like, if something doesn't happen, they'll still put in Bo Stevens, and they'll sprinkle guys in here and there, maybe to give the guys a blow. But it's it's getting better. So the third down conversion will get better as well. Just if you run it 3 times straight and pick up a third down.
Any predictions? Okay, well, go ahead. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, look at last week. They ran the ball the first 6 times that got to midfield.
Yep.
And it wasn't until they tried that stupid-ass tight end screen that it screwed everything up. Remember that? He almost threw an interception on the they know that the tight end screen's coming every time we've ran it this year.
Is that the one where it hit somebody's helmet, bounced up, and almost into the hands of a Wisconsin player?
It was right in the middle of the field where the linebacker read it, like it's been happening this whole freaking year. Okay. Remember the very first game of the year, they threw it to all like 4 times or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
Killed every time right at the line of scrimmage. And that ruined the opening drive of the game. It was 3rd and 3, and he ran a tight end screen when they've been running it all the way down the field.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, you just got me fired up. So, I mean, there's some things that Brian, he just loves that stupid tight end screen, and it hasn't worked since the damn bowl game.
Right.
I mean, it worked one time in the bowl game, and Laporta went, 60 yards or whatever? You remember that against Kentucky?
Yeah.
And it hasn't really worked since, but he loves to run it.
Speaking of Laporta, I heard he's out now. He's injured for the Lions.
Oh.
How did he get hurt, I wonder? Must got hurt in practice?
I don't know. I just saw a little ticker thing on there that said he was questionable.
Oh, questionable.
Questionable in the NFL means you're playing.
Okay. Apparently at Hawkeyes it does too. Okay. Okay, so there's our offense needs to sustain a few drives and milk more clock. I think we all agree on that we'd like to see those drives a little longer. The old-fashioned Hawkeyes that we remember, we know and love had long, drawn-out drives.
But what I'm saying is if you've noticed, you're starting to see them more and more, right?
Right, yeah.
It's a sign of the offense getting better. It started off bad.
Except for those 6 in a row 3-and-out plays that we had last week.
I would say to Ari's point, too, that 1 or 2 first downs allows us to flip the field with Torrey Taylor. So, that's the value of just that first down. Get it to the 35. Get it to the 40, 45-ish yard line. Now, Torrey can let it go. We're going to pin him deep and probably give the offense better field position.
Did you see that very first punt? That had nothing to do with Cooper, had nothing to do with the gunman running down the field. He dropped it at the 3-yard line, and it was like a pitching wedge.
Right.
The ball just bloop.
It checked up.
And Cooper goes, he points at the punter, he points at Torrey. Because Cooper knew, I didn't do this. Like, it was a coffin corner kick. They didn't need the offense to even be out there to stop the ball. Like, it just went bloop, like a golf shot. It was amazing.
Yeah. Okay, Ari Gold also mentions that our defense has the most plays in the nation at 532. He says Notre Dame is next at 515, and they've played an extra game. Okay. Eric wants to get the wide receivers more involved. I'll take whatever wins. I was calling for wide receivers all the time, but whatever it takes to win. If we run it, if we pass it, it doesn't matter. As long as we win, that's all I want. I don't care.
At
I
this
don't care.
point,
I don't care if it's a 2-0 game. As long as we win.
at this point, at this moment, it is just about winning.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get the receivers involved unless the quarterback can throw it to them,
Mm-hmm.
and not at 100. That one play where Reganey, I thought they were going to credit with him drop, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Reganey ran a drag route. He's literally 7 yards in front of Deacon, and Deacon throws a rope right through his chest, like he's running across field. And the ball goes boom. It's like, no, that's not going to work, Deacon. Like, seriously, when you see him coming, just get it out there and let him grab it and go. So, I mean, I don't know how we can get you should see it this week if it's true that Hill has improved and the receivers have improved.
Right.
I'd like to see us try to get some of those jet sweeps going, especially if Minnesota's going to put 8-9 guys in the box. If they do that, if you
get the ball outside.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Are we advertising a jet sweep when we put Wet Gin in the game? Because usually when we put him in off of not special teams, that usually there's a jet sweep coming, or maybe they use him as a decoy.
That's a great idea.
I mean, they've been using him as a decoy so far, except for the opening game. He got 2 carries the opening game.
Right. I thought he had 3 and 2 were successful and 1 was not.
He could have been okay.
Okay. I could be wrong too.
But we haven't.
He had about 21 yards on those 2 carries.
Yeah. And we haven't seen him do it since. Instead, we're doing it to Reganey on 4th and 3.
I know it.
That was dumb.
That was very dumb. When you got a guy with the speedster like Wet Gin,
not
and
only
even the wash up walk on guys were talking about his amazing speed.
Well, that, and you have Anderson, who had a 16-yard run prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A fly sweep, or what it could have been. It wasn't a reverse. It could have been. I don't know exactly what it was, but I believe it was a fly sweep. But he got 16, and he had to make a couple guys miss. With the moment Reganey had the ball outside, and I saw the blocker didn't have the angle, I knew it was over. Reganey is the receiver, a slot guy, a route runner. He is not going to make anybody miss.
Right.
That was a silly. The play call was there, but the wrong guy was carrying it. It made no sense.
Casey wants to see Troy Taylor for Heisman. Somebody, I believe, on is it BTN or ESPN, is also promoting, one of the announcers promoting him for Heisman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it'd be awesome just to get him to New York. That would be amazing.
I don't know that there's enough knowledge about him out there. I would have to start campaigning and sending out video clips of his punts.
Well,
if that were the case.
Everybody's talking about him now.
Yeah.
Even the NFL podcast, I can't think of what it was. What the hell's the guy's name? Anyway, even the NFL podcast I listened to was talking about Torrey. Mm-hmm. They were talking about Torrey and Castro. Like, they didn't talk about anybody else but Torrey and Castro.
Yeah, even Castro will come up as a second-team All-American mid-season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a whale of a year.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry. My wife just walked in and did some gestures. I'm sorry.
Were you too loud?
Huh?
You too loud?
No, she just wanted to show off.
Oh.
I probably am, though, because usually she can hear me.
I was going to say, you're going to have to soundproof that room.
We're a wily bunch here, too, like.
Yeah. Okay, the team's overall morale seems very positive. It is. I'll say one thing about Kirk. He keeps them motivated and ready.
That's why they can win the way they do. The team just wants to win. The team's not about stats. Right? So that's how you can win the way Kirk wins without showboating on offense, because the players bite into their system.
We talked about this, about the difference between Iowa and Nebraska, and why things don't fall off the rails for us the way they do at Nebraska. And a big reason for that is, something like 80% of our roster is made up of Iowans. These are kids that, that they bleed black and gold. That's their school first. Whereas at a Nebraska where we've seen those teams fall apart, all those close losses. And it's, I think, because those guys, they don't have that extra gear because they weren't born and bred to play for Nebraska, the vast majority of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Eric Gold says Schulte's the weakest link in the secondary, and his previous comment was that he looked like a rag doll versus Braylon Allen. What do you guys think?
So would we. I mean, so would we. Like, he does that to people. And it also, Schulte just had a bad angle. It's like that Christian Okoye play against Steve Atward. Do you remember that on Monday Night Football where Steve Atward laid out Christian Okoye? I mean, literally stopped him cold. If you guys don't remember that, you should really YouTube it. It was an amazing play. But Christian Okoye was like, yeah, he got me, and he got me because I was off balance when he hit me. It wasn't like I was coming, like it was like one of those. Well, that was Schulte was kind of off balance because he was just trying to get a hold of him, right? He wasn't coming in to like try to bruise him up or anything. He was trying to wrap him up, and he just went to the ground. And Allen just said, "Not today."
Cooper says Castro's the best player on defense. I will say this much: both Castro and Higgins have really come on strong this year, and you know it's nice. It's really nice to have them both. You know, and of course Castro made Braylon cry. He's actually the one I think that knocked him out of the game or got him injured because he didn't really knock him out of the game.
I thought he had a concussion because you know how when you get a concussion, you kind of go out like this.
Yeah,
like you don't really have a control. Because when he got hit, he dropped the ball and his arms were like this. But then when you watch the video, it kind of does look like he's like trying to go gadget arms and get the football. Like, so it wasn't a concussion like it looked like in the very, very first time I saw it. But I mean, that was just, and he doesn't use his helmet. I think we talked about that on Sunday. How he comes in without targeting.
Yeah, I noticed that. Guys, it's getting close. Why don't we start working on our picks? We've got 9 picks for this week.
All right.
And if we got any time left, I'll come back and try to get the rest of these comments.
I just want to tell whoever asked that I have Penn State beating Ohio State.
Well, that's going to come up. That's going to come up here. So you didn't think I was going to not pick that game, right?
Well, I just wanted to make sure because we ignored Jared when he asked it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
all right. Eric Gold's also picked Penn State over Ohio State. Okay. All right. Minnesota at Iowa. You guys get to name your winner and your score.
Why don't we change it up and do Iowa last?
Okay. All right. We'll do Iowa last. Then let's start with the Penn State-Ohio State game at Ohio State.
Penn State.
I'm also picking Penn State. Paul, what about you?
You know, I'll go lone wolf and take Ohio State. It's
okay. Fair enough. That could go either way. They're higher ranked.
It could, but I just don't see a lot out of Iowa. Other than,
I mean, I'm not an expert, but I see some weaknesses in Ohio State, and I constantly hear the so-called media and experts on the TV shows and radio shows saying they also see the weaknesses. And I go, if I can see it and they can see it, then it's got to be there, you know? I mean, they got past Notre Dame, so that's good.
But this game, I mean, this will tell us we could be wrong, right?
Right.
I mean, but all I see them is the only way they do anything is they throw it up to Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, it's not a bad plan to have. So,
all right.
They can't run the football.
Okay. Number 17, Tennessee at number 11, Alabama. Whoever thought Alabama would not be a top 10 team?
Right.
Anytime it happens, I smile. I hate Alabama.
So you taking Tennessee?
No, I'm taking Alabama.
Okay.
Paul? I'm gonna take Alabama here.
I also took Bama. Okay, you get Florida State.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Paul. You first this time.
I do think this is a good game here, and it's underrated nationally, probably. I think Duke gives Florida State fits, but I do think Florida State is the better team and will ultimately win out.
Okay. Jason.
I'm with Paul. Duke's having some injuries, including their quarterback. So I'm with Paul on this one.
Okay, and I also took it. Okay. Interesting. Number 14, Utah at number 18, USC. God, both of these teams were near the top of the top 5 at the beginning of the year. They're both falling a little bit.
Because of their offense. Or no, that's because of USC's offense.
Yeah, they lost to Notre Dame, and they're still ranked.
They got smacked Iowa style. Like Notre Dame legit only had 300, not even 300 yards of offense, 254, I think.
Yeah.
And they beat them 48-20 because USC just turned the ball over all day. They had 400 yards of total offense, or close to it, like 350 or 60 or whatever. But they turned the ball over, and Notre Dame scored.
This game might be in Los Angeles, but I took Utah to win this one. What about you guys? Go ahead, Jason.
Because, I mean, Cam Rising's still not – like, he's still struggling. But Utah does play some defense. I'm going to go – but Caleb Williams is the best player in the country. I'm going to go with Utah. What the hell? Just because of defense.
All right, Paul.
I'm a big fan of Trojans. So
USC. Oh, Paul, you could, since you're going rogue on a couple of them, you could actually run away with this week if it goes all your way.
He could tie me. I think I'm ahead of him by 2 games, right?
Yeah, you're ahead, both of us by 2. Paul and I are tied. All right, Wisconsin at Illinois. Paul.
Illinois just pulled a pretty big upset at Maryland. Maybe they're figuring it out a little bit. Wisconsin, where are they at? Do they have a hangover from the Iowa game? Do they get back? They're without their quarterback.
Yeah.
And their top running back is kind of injured. He may play, but he's kind of injured. Not 100%.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Illinois in this one.
I also took Illinois, unfortunately. This is down to Jason.
Illinois.
Okay.
It's because their quarterback is a true freshman, I think, or at least a redshirt freshman. That's a tough one for Wisconsin.
If Wisconsin loses again, and that's a divisional game at that, it would almost seal it for Iowa.
Right. But I want them to stay. I don't want them to go 9-3 and go to the championship. I want them to stay 11-1, baby.
Yes, we do. We don't want Iowa to. We don't want Iowa to lose any more games.
I just feel like if that were to happen, like as far as I'm talking about Iowa losing, not the Wisconsin thing, because obviously Paul's right. But if Iowa does lose a couple as well and still goes to championship, the narrative is still there. They're going to the championship. They're 9-3, blah, blah, blah. So I would like to see them. But if Wisconsin does win, that's close to locking it up. Or if Wisconsin does lose.
Right. Because we're pretty sure Wisconsin's going to lose to Ohio State in a couple of weeks. Okay. Northwestern at Nebraska. I took Nebraska, guys.
I'm going rogue.
You going who?
I'm going rogue. I'm going Northwestern.
Okay. It's fine.
The game is where?
At Nebraska.
It doesn't really matter. I'll take the Huskers at home.
Yeah, I thought it was in Evanston.
Okay.
I'm taking Nebraska too in Lincoln. Yeah, because Northwestern is. Their I like their quarterback, but Bryant's hurt, so they're going with their backup quarterback as well. But I always felt their backup was actually their better quarterback. I evaluated him better, I should say, back when I evaluated him. But in Lincoln, there's going to be 90,000 people there. No, I'm going with Nebraska.
All right. Rutgers at Indiana.
This is a tough one here. Oh, boy. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Oh, Nikes.
Wow.
You did it. You actually did it. You some bitch. You I'm going with Rutgers because for the sole purpose is I'm going to be rooting my butt off for Rutgers. Because they play Iowa, right? So I want everybody on Iowa's schedule just to keep winning.
Okay. So that people can't say Iowa didn't play anybody. They're the fake ID of college football.
They're going to say it anyway, but
yeah, I know it. Okay, I took Rutgers. Air Force at Navy. Sorry, Paul, I took Air Force.
Apologize to me. I don't even have
You're
to.
The Navy man, man.
I don't even have to put my pick in here. You write down the U.S. Navy, God damn it.
All righty.
Yeah. If it was Army, I'd be 100% with Paul on that one. I don't go against Army either. But football-wise, I'll say Air Force. I love this team. This is the best Air Force team I have seen.
Yeah, they're ranked too.
I want to say since the 90s, probably, when they were ranked a lot. When Troy Calhoun first got there in the early 2000s, they were ranked a few times. But, yeah, Air Force just is looking so good.
There you go. Go Navy! That's one's for you, Paul.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah. All right. Now, finally, we're going to make our picks for the Iowa and our final score. Jason, go ahead.
I have Iowa winning 17-9 was what I came up with, my numbers. So I just feel I think they're gonna come out throwing the football. Well, I can't. I mean, I'm pretending like I'm making this shit up. I was told. I mean, they're gonna come out with the more wide open game plan to start the game. So that's what I expect, and then I feel like they'll eventually go back to running the football, wearing down Minnesota, and they're gonna pull away. I gave Minnesota 3 field goals, but Iowa's gonna win this thing.
Okay. Paul, your score. I know who you're picking.
You know, what I think may end up happening if Iowa really gets the running game, consistent, not just big pops and then, 2 yards, if they could start doing 3.5 yards, 4 yards, right? And we can keep ourselves in these third down situations that we, can and run the football and have a legit chance of getting it. Again, like, I talked about earlier, we don't have to march 80 yards and score touchdowns. We need a couple first downs and flip the field. So the next time, we need 2 first downs to kick a field goal. Right. Long story short, I believe we frustrate Minnesota. They turn the ball over because they're seeing the game, the tickets, the seconds tick off the clock constantly, and a couple mistakes, a couple big runs. I think this is 24-3 Iowa.
Okay, and I took Iowa 16-6. So my score is very similar to Jason's. By the way, Jared's he served aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln.
Yep, I was on the USS. Good Lord.
Forgot already?
Man. The Harry Truman, CVN 75.
Harry Truman, okay. Yeah. Jared had to bring up the fact that the 49ers lost, but we also lost Christian McCaffrey in that game, so I don't know how that's going to go well this week. My church, Men's Bible Night, which we usually study the Bible on Monday night, we're actually going to forgo the Bible study and set up a large screen TV in the church and watch Minnesota Vikings and 49ers Monday night.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
God.
I'm just trying to go back and try to grab some of these. A lot of predictions here. Okay. There we go. In other words, if all three end up 11-1 and so is Iowa, would Iowa play a combination of all three teams in Indiana? Let's have to go to the tiebreakers, guys. We're not going to play all three of them. Wouldn't that be cool though if all four teams were 11-1 and those three are going to be in the playoff hunt?
Right.
All four of them be in the playoff hunt. If Iowa wins the Big Ten title, they're going to be in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
They'll have to beat whoever they play in the championship, obviously, but they will be in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Aries spelling out his scenario there. Okay. I'll just put it up there. You guys can look at it. Any hope for Colorado? I'm still hoping that they will pull out an 8-win season. I don't know. I'm not a Colorado fan. I'm not really watching them.
No, there's no hope for them unless they get healthy. They don't have backups. They legit don't have any backups. Like this first year of Deion's he got all his 5 stars that he could get that start, right? Behind him are players that wouldn't be on a Division I team. They shouldn't be on a Division I team, but he had to take them to fill up a roster because he was such an ass when he took over that people left. Too many left. So he just filled up with people who really can't play. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll get to 8 wins, but I hope they do.
Okay.
Yeah. Same here, Casey. If that's what if Penn State could find a way to beat Michigan, go undefeated, and Iowa can beat the undefeated Penn State in the championship game, that's when they'll be in the playoff talk.
Yeah.
Good news, guys. Luke Lachey is due back in December, but not in time for the Big Ten title game. He'll be back for the bowl game.
Could be back for the bowl.
I mean, so
Could be. They're pretty confident right now, but so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt and run with it.
right. That just means he'll go pro.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking too.
I was kind of hoping that he would be out past the combine, and then because he'll want to come back and prove himself, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But he gets to play in. Now, granted, it could be a huge bowl game too. We don't know. It could be the Rose Bowl for crying out loud.
Yeah, right. Question for you guys: has Eric All showed enough on film this year for the NFL? Of course, he's got to have a full year to get that ACL repaired. So I don't know if he's even going to be looked at by the NFL this year. But does he got enough on tape that they can look at him that way and still draft him?
Yeah, because everybody was talking about his run blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, his catching, his athleticism was there. But the huge thing for him was how good of a run blocker he is for a tight end. So, yeah.
There's also a major injury concern with him, though. I mean,
Guys, I got to run. This is fun. I like keep doing it, but my wife and I, we've got somewhere to go, and we got to be there. If you guys could do me a favor, if one of you could share this like I usually do, because I usually spend time sharing it out to about 6 or 7 Hawkeye websites, but I'll share whatever doesn't get shared. But yeah, whatever website you guys want to go to.
Paul, you got it, so we don't double up.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
I'm going to end this, guys. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate all of you guys watching, your comments. This is a lot of fun. You guys are making this more fun show by show, and we appreciate your loyalty, guys. All right. Don't forget that like, because we did have 10 likes this last time.
Yes.
Getting up there. All right. And we picked up a few, we picked up a few extra subscribers. Subscribe too. All right.
Nice.
Cool. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.